interview which I did with Nerith about a week and a half ago. And within the interview, we were talking about Nomad Land. The reason I did the interview was because I noticed the big difference between Nomad Land and Nomad Island, and the ideas in which we create the structure of our organisations. And so I thought I'd do an interview. Unfortunately, because of the software or something went wrong, my face isn't actually in the interview, and it's mostly focused on Nerith. But I hope you enjoy and watch the rest. And that's pretty much it for me. What is Nomad Land?
Well, it's the idea, kind of a nomad base, just on land, not on an island. That is the original idea. I think it changed a bit now, because there are a few people who would like to stay permanently, like I do, and some only want a nomad base, and we figured out that this seems to be quite hard to combine, especially with the funds to put in. That is the general argument we are having at the moment, more or less, since we got back from Spain. We before the group started in March, I think, but I just joined shortly after I joined Nomad Island, really. I got from Nomad Island to Nomad Land because I found it too hard to settle on an island. And anyway, then when I decided Panama is far too far to go there permanently, I joined there. And originally they did some research and they decided they wanted to settle in Croatia. And then a member of the group posted a farm for sale in southern Spain. So we did some more research on Spain, and the main reason against Spain, apart from the prices of properties there, was that they are quite restricted with solar panels, but that's only if you want to sell the energy. If you have energy too much and you want to sell it, then it's quite restricted and really hard. But if you just do it for yourself, it's no problem at all. And the thing was that a lot of people actually preferred Spain to Croatia, and then we said, okay, we go for Spain now, and especially for this area. So we've been to Spain last week. Three of us.
So you've all met in real life?
Oh, not all. No. I just met with. It's basically the same. You've got a few active members, and a lot of them who just like comment and yeah. So we've got one member who lives down there already, and Maya from Estonia was there, and I went there. So we met there, and we looked at 5 different properties, got a basic knowledge of the area, and we registered an association, we prepared the papers, and it's now with the Spanish authorities for registration.
Okay, so you're at the point now where you're pretty much purchasing the farm and preparing to settle there, I guess.
It would be nice if we were that. It's the thing is that I think a lot of people imagine that it was basically not costing anything really. People seem to dream about properties for like 10,000, 20,000 euro or something, and just start things from scratch. And a lot of people don't want to start from scratch. And the thing is, the area there is good for alternative communities of all kinds, because there are already quite a few there, and there is a huge settling of North European people with more or less alternative ideas. So it's just a good place to be. It's good weather. It's just 40 days of rain a year, roughly.
Yeah.
Really warm in the summer.
I've always liked Spain.
Yeah, well, I have haven't been to Spain so often, but this was a really, really nice experience. Yeah, so we have an idea, and we picked three properties. One like rather cheap of 78,000, one is 100,000, and one is like an already running farm with olives and avocados and very rich trees, and that's 200,000.
Okay. So
So
how did you go through the process of deciding upon which one to go for? Or are you still in the process of doing that?
well, we picked these three to actually present to the group for the price and for the different possibilities there.
Hmm.
Um, and the two other ones we looked at, we just decided we didn't want at all. Because one was very high up in the mountains, which means it's pretty cold and rather North European with the crops you can plant. It's basically the apples, cherries, chestnuts, well, different chestnuts that we have, but still chestnuts and walnuts. Um, but that was, and it's getting quite cold up there.
Yeah.
Um, and the other one was beautiful but extremely hard to reach, a very bad road that goes there, and it was just quite expensive. You know, it was like beautiful and there were plants on it and everything, but it's like 250,000, and we just said that's too high for what we can get.
Hmm. So it sounds like you've been very much involved in the decision process and in deciding which place to go for.
Hmm.
Have you visited the places?
I have been there, yes. I've been at three farms. As I said, one is it's all there. There's a city in southern Spain called Orchiva.
Okay.
Around the city, it's just like 400 meters, 450 meters high. Um, and we all three places are more or less close to this town. There's this one for 200,000, which is directly in, well, just 1 kilometer off. There's another one that's about 10 kilometers off, and another one that's about 20 kilometers off.
So you all thought it was very important to be close to this place. I guess being a
Yeah.
trading hub, or
Like this, and a community you can actually integrate in.
yeah,
Where the place that is 20 kilometers off is like close to another smaller village, um, and it's a beautiful place, really really beautiful, but really far off too. And the thing is, what locals, we went to speak to some locals about things about this area and property, and they said, oh, they had so many properties been sold to German and English people, but now they sold them all. So the thing is, why did they sell them? You know, it's just like there must be a reason to that.
yeah. Did you find out what the reason was?
Well, no, not really. I mean, the properties we looked at, like quite a few people there, or people we met. We actually met because this Orchiva city has quite a few Facebook groups running, and off-grid groups and different kind of things. So we met quite a few people there. And it seems that often, like, couples are buying these farms, dreaming of this remote off place, raising their children and dreaming what they all can do, but it's always involved with very, very hard work.
Yeah,
And lots of people split up there. Actually, loads of the places for sale and other people we met are just split up, and now they're selling off the places.
I actually met somebody like that in my hometown.
Really?
Yeah, they bought a farm over there and ended up splitting because of the stress on the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I think it's good to go there with a bigger group and more people to do something really, than
yeah,
just looking like with a couple. It can be really lonely. We met a woman there, an English woman. She invited us for lunch, and they bought a beautiful place quite high up. And you had to walk to this place. You could just go to the village, but not into the village by car. And then you had to walk down 1 kilometer to her place. But it was just like not a real road. It was more like a path, like down and up and down and up. I asked her, how did you furnish your house? I mean, was a full house with furniture and everything. She said, well, it's all kind of a plan to get things here, but in the end, you all carry them. It's like really hard. And they split up too, so, but she didn't sell, not yet.
It maybe that could possibly be the reason why people are moving out, maybe going towards the city and living an easier life.
Yes, probably. So I still cannot really see us buying something there. I think it will be really hard because it's like all the capacity of people that can be there. And then we've got like loads of, and then thinking how many people want to join. And it seems like even if we buy this place for 100,000, which I think would be the compromise, it means we need to get 100 people paying 1,000, and we are far away from that now. We've got about 30,000 euros, something like that.
Okay. So what is the dream of this project? Where do you see this project being in a year, 2 years, 3, 4, maybe 5 years' time?
Well, the dream is actually to have a community. And not like a hippie community, because there are plenty of hippie communities around there and like hippie villages that have been there for 10 years or more, which are not really liked, especially not by the Spanish people. And I've been to one or two places there too, and they more or less look like a scrapyard, and we would actually have something to be quite organized. The thing is, you can't just live off the land there. The land is not rich enough for that, to give that. So it means we would need to have some kind of business. So the hope is actually to have like staying places for visitors and for permanent stayers, like small houses to build. And the good thing is that in that area, if you build like wood sheds, wooden houses, they are counted as mobiliarias, which means they can be moved. It's like caravans, more or less. You don't even need to have a permission to build them.
Okay, like sheds in the garden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to have that and kind of running, farming the land and also have other projects. We were thinking about offering kind of retreats, because there is loads of yoga places and just like relaxing wellness retreats. We were thinking about doing wellness retreats for paying people really in a certain time of year to give for travelers who just want to like nomad travelers to be able to avoid the paying tourists if they like to do that. And we also thought about doing holiday camps for children, which is something very much needed in Spain, because the summer holidays are so long and the parents don't get off for so long. So we can actually offer holiday children camps. And we were thinking about doing that with different projects, but for the children, working on the themes we have on this farm with different ways, like building projects for the children, or theater workshops, or pottery, or whatever, and get them involved in this area, and all very playful and fun for children, definitely not obvious education. But I think it is something that would be very good, especially for Spain, because there is no real... The environment consciousness is not so high there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like this project could definitely evolve into into so many different areas, and you eventually perhaps specialize in a certain area, I guess.
Yes, I think that will show when we are there.
Yeah.
This one guy, this one farm we visited, which had olives and almonds mainly. He said the prices for almonds are quite good at the moment because of the drought in California.
Mm.
And I didn't know that almonds are paid in world market prices like gold.
Okay.
Yeah. And he said, well, it could be really good to make kind of an own label and process almonds and olives yourself in like little present boxes or whatever, or jarred olives or olive oil or like soaps, things like that, and sell that off. It might be. I think it's like going there and getting getting an idea of what can be done actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what is suitable. But because we thought it needs quite a lot amount of food if you want to, even if we have like 30 people living there permanently to start with, you do need quite a bit of food because you just can't live from almonds and olives, and even if you do some permaculture there, it's still things like bread or whatever that you have to get to. And what I think is very nice about our idea is that compared to other communities, we don't want to have strict rules there, definitely not on what you think or feel or eat, you know. It's often that you have like communities and they say it's strictly vegetarian or strictly vegan or raw food or whatever, and no cats and no dogs and no this and no that and no smoking and no alcohol and no drugs. So we said we don't want anything of this.
Mm-hmm.
We just like have this idea that people are tolerant towards each other and are happy about the input that's coming from other people. And we definitely don't want any kind of missionary there to convince people. And if somebody decides I am into eating some ham today, then we don't want any vegan sitting next to him and saying, oh, you're eating the death now and nobody should eat it because it's like killing the environment or things like that, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that is very important.
So you've all got this ethos of trying to protect the environment, but not to the extreme where you're trampling on people's freedoms.
Absolutely. I mean, we thought about saying, okay, but when you eat meat here, it should be like organic meat or at least happy meat, you know, not probably industrialized meat, which comes like with the same thing. And that is the thing that lots of places have because they are quite off. They obviously have waste problems. So it should be clear that you can't come there and bring all sorts of plastic wrappings and things like that, or you just have to take all them away again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you haven't got anybody who comes down there and collects your waste. So.
You got to take it yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So if I was a new person that wanted to become a part of Nomad Land, and I wanted to invest money into it, how would I go about it?
Well, at the moment we are not really at that point. I hope we get there soon if we can decide on the property. We made this association, and what Bob said, there is 3 people who can do basically anything, is not what an association is. I mean, it's kind of an association. I bet you have something like that in Denmark too, like the local fishing club or something like that, you know? So basically it's that. And if you have this kind of association, you need a president, you need a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer. And because we were only 3 people down there in Spain and somebody had to sign the documents, we just made one the president, I am the vice president and treasurer, and the other one is the secretary. But at the moment, with that, we are the only members of the association. What we are thinking about is either getting a membership fee, which is the investment for the property and will be the investment for everybody who comes in. Yeah. Okay. So even that we can, if we have enough members to buy the place initially, everybody who comes in new pays the same fee to give funds to the project for all kinds of things. I mean, actually, if you buy that there, the first thing you have to buy too is a four-wheel drive. So I get a four-wheel drive because you don't get up and down the mountains there, especially if there has been rain, or in the wintertime the tracks can be quite muddy and horrible. So that would be something to buy. And the other thing we actually dreamed of, just now I'm talking about it, was like, if we see that the place is running well and we have more people to come in, we could actually buy other places around that area. We actually were in this village where this woman lived, where you had to walk to. It's a very, very small village. In the summer, it has like 200 inhabitants, and in the winter, only 20. Mm. And there's like half the village is for sale. And we just thought it could be a really nice thing just to start buying off the houses in that village and actually have the village at one point completely. And there's always the chance to rent it out as holiday places with Airbnb or something like that, or just actually make it kind of a nomad village, something like that. And give people the chance actually to go and choose between different places, you know. If it's really, really good, we could even start new places in other countries.
Yeah.
So that you buy yourself in once, and then in the end you have the chance of a lot of different places to stay in, and if you want to stay there permanently at some point.
So you're talking about a type of membership which you'll be able to pay for and then be able to stay in all these different places.
Mm-hmm. That's the main idea. I mean, if we don't get that many members, it will just be the one place. But we're hoping with the time we get more, and then it could work.
Yeah. So it's a proper non-profit organisation, then. It's something that you've created between the three of you to begin with, and then people pay for a membership, and yeah.
Especially, I mean, there is these things, if you actually think about, I mean, as long as you earn money and you invest it for the association, like the association buys one house in this village, you know, then it's kind of investment for the association. It's not a profit made. So you can still do that. If we make, for example, a label and sell olive oil to Germany or wherever, and we make a profit there, we would have to pay at least VAT tax, and maybe we need to pay some kind of tax on the profit. But then we could actually like make a small company for this bit, you know, which doesn't harm the association. But at the moment, the association is something that you can register. You don't have to pay anything for it. It doesn't put anybody in danger because nobody put money in, and even if it doesn't work out, there's no harm done, really, you know. There's nothing huge about this thing, so that makes it really easy, and it gives us, we feel, all the possibilities we need at the moment, and we can always come up with new ideas and new things when the time is there. That is our main idea, and it's for no one to actually make profit. We were thinking about like people who stay there permanently and actually keep it running, doing reception, doing administrative things, and saying, okay, you're coming here, you should do this work and you should do that work. And people who are there basically all the time. You need some kind of income, obviously. We as Europeans do quite like the thinking about a health insurance, things like that. So these are things that should be paid for or could be paid for, and the association actually can provide some jobs for some people and actually pay them, which is non-profit still, you know, like.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be classed as profits if you're paying the wages to the people that are involved in keeping the place running.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what are the benefits of being non-profit then, besides the tax?
Well, at the moment is we don't want to have real business. We don't want to have a company. I think it's more an idealistic idea of being non-profit. Nobody wants to be rich with this thing. And for us, actually, it seemed to be the easiest way to go about it and actually make a start.
Yeah.
Things like that might change over the time, but at the moment, we thought it would be the best and easiest thing to do. I mean, it was not that easy to work through all these Spanish documents, and we had my uncle who lives in Madrid and his wife who is Spanish to actually put bits in for us with our goals and what we want to achieve and what we would be called and things like that, to actually have it properly, and then read it through
Yeah.
and said we signed.
So essentially, you're wanting you're just evolving the organization around.
Exactly.
Yeah. It can easily change in the future to a different model, I suppose.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
But with it's just no harm done, so we thought this would be the easiest thing to start with. And the association does give us the opportunity, once it's registered, we get a tax number for the association, and we can open a bank account in the name of the association. And and like Bob said, it's just these three people who can decide. I mean, like in the local fishing club, nobody can decide. I mean, you all need a member meeting, you know. There's this grand meetings, and there is a certain amount of people that have to be there to make the association able to decide on things, you know. It's never the three people that can actually decide anything. And at the moment, we don't have members, we don't have any money, so there's nothing to decide or overrule somebody. And it's in the association registration is that these member meetings, these great meetings, can be held with up to 100 people. And after that, if we actually did grow bigger, you could always think, okay, we do like groups of 5, choose one person to get in to go to these meetings.
Yeah.
And annually you vote the positions of president and so on. They can be voted or re-elected.
As members for paying, I mean, wouldn't it be quite a lot that each member would have to pay to become a member to be able to get the amount of cash that you need to purchase the property?
Yeah, well, it depends on how many people we have. We thought it would be good to have like 50 people paying 2,000, something like that, because it seems to be, if you want to build up a community, it's always good to have a smaller core group in the beginning to start with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope we just get these people to get a place like that. What we imagine. Obviously, I think for North Europeans, it shouldn't be too hard to get 2,000. I mean, it's not like that I can go to the bank and say, okay, give me 2,000, but I actually can manage, you know,
Yeah.
like getting a little here and there, but it's not like a huge amount for us. I had the idea because loads of people were saying, yeah, but I'm coming from Romania, and like it's a fortune for me. I would never be able to bring that up. So I said, well, how about the idea to pay, each one pays like 10% of the yearly income to make it fair, you know, so it just would mean like North Europeans would pay more, and like countries like Romania, Bulgaria,
The Baltic states.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, would just pay less. But lots of people complained about that. Then we changed the idea to, we just like look up in the internet average wages of different countries and just say, okay, you're from Romania and you're paying this, and you're from Germany, you're paying that, and you're from Norway and you're paying that. But that was not agreed on either. So I think we just stick with this normal amount.
Yeah. It's hard to please everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. You're going to displease somebody at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess you've pretty much. How's the whole transparency of Nomad Lands? I mean, we're trying to be as transparent as possible with Nomad Island, with these videos and these meetings online, and just being able to make all the documents available to everybody. How is it that you go about making your meetings? How do you discuss things? Is it mostly through Facebook? And
it's mostly through Facebook, and we did quite a few Skype meetings, though with declining numbers. Sometimes we had really good ones, and then it was just like 3 again.
Yeah.
Some people got frustrated because they're thinking they're doing all the work and all the discussions, and the other ones are just moaning about things. So,
Yeah.
but everything is available to everybody.
Have you discussed the running costs of Nomad Land at all?
The what cost?
The running costs and the management of the costs of the land, of the electricity, of anything that you need to keep it sustained.
No, not really. Not really. That is a thing. Actually mentioned that a few times, but we don't seem to have any accountants close enough who could actually like estimate the payment. The good thing is that in this area in Spain, the tax on the land is extremely low. Like a 4-hectare place costs €17.50 per year just on tax. So that is basically nothing.
Yeah.
Apart from one place, all places were running on solar panels completely. They do have you work with bio toilets or compost toilets. There is fresh water from the mountains at every place for irrigation, and there is on most of the places were a spring with drinking water too. So that is no cost. Of course, you need to count the investment costs. I mean, if you buy this land, we have to, if it's without estate agent, you still have to pay 8% tax on the purchase, and you need a lawyer. Though we find another agency, they take €50 per hour for doing the things a lawyer does, and then you have to pay 1% also to the notary.
Okay.
So if we buy like 100,000, it will easily be 113,000, something like that, possibly. And of course, you need the car, and the more people that are there, even if you want to build something, because as I said, you can build wooden sheds, but you couldn't build like stone houses as many as you like. Even the area is, there's plenty of stones you can just pick up and build traditionally. You would need permissions for that, and it's basically 10% of the whole place may be solidly built on. So that might be a problem. You know, if I have just 3 hectares, I have like about 400 square meters I can actually build something on. 400.
Yeah.
4,000. So yeah.
So generally, with all that information, you could get a roundabout figure of how much you'd need to purchase everything, and be able to figure out how much you'd need from the members, I guess.
Yes, I mean, I think it would be possible to start with less because maybe not so many people are there right away.
Mm-hmm.
So the houses that are on the farm could be a shelter to stay on to start with, and then slowly build. What I think we have to do is getting wood from like Balkan or Hungary, where you can actually buy wood cheaply and get a lorry to bring a lot of wood down. We do have people who are very good in building, like carpenters, people like that. So that shouldn't be the problem to actually build something there. But we would have to estimate all these costs. And I feel that a lot of people are not thinking about it, that it's absolutely not done with buying the place, but that we would actually, I think we could easily do with 50,000 of extra cash to actually get the place running. And depending, I mean, I was actually hoping we can start like to the beginning of the summer holidays next year, and no crops are ready then, you know, the olives aren't ripe, the almonds aren't ready, you know, it's all like this time of year that they actually get ready to pick. And then you have to sell them off and see how much money you get, and it won't be a fortune. Depending on the people there, it's just like more or less from hand to mouth.
Yeah.
So I think everybody who comes there needs to have some spare cash in mind, at least for himself, to actually put money together to buy more food for the people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, essentially you'd be able to offer accommodation, and to pay for the accommodation they'd have to work the land, but they may have to pay for their own food if they you don't have enough food to go around.
Yeah, absolutely. In the beginning, I mean, it would be cheaper if everybody pays something on the food, but it's just like things that have to be considered because it's just not enough to buy it. And I always think like people who say, yeah, I just want to come there once or twice a year for a month or something, which is actually fine. But the place to develop needs people there on a permanent basis. You
Yeah,
know, they might change. Maybe we have people who come there and say, okay, we stay for a year this time, and then they get involved, and then there's new people staying for a year, so the other ones can show them what to do, so could keep running the place. But basically, it needs somebody to be there all the time, and not just one or two people.
yeah.
Basically.
Uh, you
So
were you were saying before that you were thinking of giving them a wage, but there could be the possibility of them being volunteers. I know there's plenty of volunteer-run places, non-profit organisations
yeah,
in
that's
Copenhagen.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
sure. I mean, that's quite a big thing. Almost every farm there has volunteers coming and staying for a while.
yeah. And you get some. They can get some benefits with that of getting food and getting the accommodation for free.
Yeah,
And yeah,
sure. Sure,
yeah.
but still, like the ones who organize this place, you keep like the relationships with the local authorities, things like that, where to sell the things, that is all. You can send a volunteer to the market and say, sell this, but of course, all
Oh,
the other organization stuff. And the more business you do, things like that, the more the officials getting involved and the more you have to deal with them. So,
yeah. So it's tricky business.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Nomad Island got its own tricky things to think of. Cohen was here yesterday, and we were just chatting about it. I mean, basically, it's the same thing. You always need people who are there on the island. I mean, what do you do if nobody's on the island who can drive the boat or repair the boat?
Yeah.
How are people getting on and off the place? You need to provide for that at least. And I said in one post that you said it's sent once it's the health business. I mean, what do you actually do if somebody's getting injured there?
Oh, yeah.
It's just like it would be good to have some paramedics there could actually set bones or like give injections or actually sew a little bit in wounds or something like that.
I know I was talking to one of the nurses early on in the project, and she raised a lot of these concerns, just talking about like creating a medical unit there, just
Yeah.
so we can set bones and stuff. But if it's a real emergency, I suppose that's why the island was chosen to be close to Panama, so we can
Hmm.
get on the boat quickly and take them to the hospital.
Yeah,
But
but still, that's kind of business. Just imagine, I mean, the Pacific is not really a small water. It's not like the Baltic Sea. I mean,
yeah,
it's if you've got bad weather and just I don't know. There haven't been any news about the hurricane hitting Mexico, so I don't know if it turned out that bad that they supposed, but it came from the Pacific side. Might be something to consider if these storms are getting worse.
oh yeah, I guess we'll have to like create some structures to be able to protect ourselves from that. That
Yeah.
that would be something to think of in the future. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's really hard to make the step from the dream to the reality and actually then cope with the reality.
so. What do you think about the Nomad Island Association?
The other thing that I really liked about the association is this thing that we can actually put in the statutes that you pay a membership fee and you can sell off your membership to somebody else if you like to leave the association, but you won't be able to get the money paid back from the association because there is communities that had this problem, like one in Greece, that they had a huge argument between the members, which can happen, and then you have like two different positions, and half of the people just left the place, and they had to pay them out, so they had to sell land to actually be able to pay them. And that is something we don't want. But to be able to pay the members back if the association terminates, we can say probably that we got the money and borrowed more or less, because an association, a non-profit association, when it's terminated, the profit it makes needs to go to a different non-profit organization. But if you owe some money to somebody, you have to pay that first, and then the rest is the profit, and then you give that profit to another non-profit organization.
Okay.
So that would be a chance for people to get the money back if it terminates. Then in the end, I think, if I put 1,000 or 2,000, it is a lot of money, but if it's lost, I've wasted money on other things and a lot more than 2,000. So I think it will kill me, really. It's just like, oh, but okay.
People pay more for an education, and that's pretty much what it is, isn't it? It's
yeah.
We're all learning along the way and experimenting.
And I do quite enjoy that. I do enjoy the international feeling of it. I like different people. Just through these 2 projects, I've met so many people, new people now, in real or on Facebook, and that's really a great experience. I just love it for that.
Yeah, me too. I've never met so many like-minded people in my entire life.
It's really good feeling, I think.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much everything for Nomad Land. I don't really have any other questions. Is there anything you want to add?
No, not that I know of in the moment.
Yeah. Well, it's very nice meeting you. And
thank you very much, too.
Yeah. And I'll see you on Facebook.
Absolutely. See you soon. Bye.